Okay, welcome everybody. This is session one of this week's series called Soul Purpose. I'm so happy to be here with you. We're streaming, but I also have some beautiful souls with me here in Zoom. And if you're on a streaming platform and you want to be in Zoom, then I hope that you'll join us. You'll see in the description how you can join us in the Zoom room. And for those of you that are in the Zoom room, we'll get to interact. I'll see you in the chat. Please engage with me. And at the end, I'll even stay on to answer your questions. If you have questions that come up from this or you want some coaching, I'm going to stay on as much as possible these next few days so that you can receive what it is that you're needing in this moment. And so in order to join us, you go to tinyurl.com / oh gosh, what is it? I forget exactly what it is. Now I can't see it that we're live. Isn't that funny? Tiny URL. I made a fancy URL for you guys and everything. It's tinyurl.com / join us on Zoom. Join us on Zoom. Got it? tinyurl.com / join us on Zoom.com for those of you that are streaming in. I don't have my assistant here with me today. That's the blessing of having teams so that I don't have to hold these kinds of things. And yet, life's not about getting it perfect. It's just about showing up. And I felt to show up today and give to you and serve to you because we're in a really powerful moment. A lot of people have had a lot of big questions coming up in their life in these recent months. That's what after this COVID time and lockdown, it brought up a lot. It had us question, it had us change things. And then with this new year and the way the astrology is, most of us have been in big questions of what do I really want to do and how do I want to do it? Who do I want to be in the world? What's my next chapter? For some of you, you made big changes. You let go of things, you moved, you let go of jobs, you're trying to build something new. And there's something really common I'm seeing right now where it's like now with the summer solstice, the energy shifted and we're in Cancer season. We just entered Cancer season astrologically. Cancer season asks us to look at long term. How am I taking care of my house? How am I stabilizing my life, my purpose? What is it that's going to really fulfill me? That's going to really bring me to the next level? What wants to shift in my work? And you're starting to think big picture, longer term, right? Because you've been maybe just honestly, a lot of COVID time was very responsive, reactive, right? We were kind of put into an environment and a culture where things were very responsive and reactive in that way. But now is the time that we really start to look and ask, what do I really want to do with my life? And of course that evolves and there's different cycles and chapters and we're all in a different chapter of that. But one of my core themes for this week of exploration is around reinvention, because it is time to disconnect from the old version of ourselves, the version of you that believes in scarcity, that has limitation, that doesn't have enough money, that doesn't have enough energy, that isn't in the types of loving, intimate, supportive relationships you want, that doesn't have the community perhaps that you want, that is going about life without a spiritual teacher, without a coach, or without a community, doing it alone, lone wolfing, thinking you're going to figure it out alone. Like that version of you, that pendulums and your emotions, that is swinging between really joyful and peaceful and then suffering, that version of you, it's time for that version of you to be laid to rest, to die to that old story, that story that actually keeps you small and limited and stuck. And some of you have very big and gorgeous lives, and yet there's always more that's possible. There's always a next level for you. Okay. And so this conversation is relevant whether you are feeling broke financially or whether you're a billionaire financially. This conversation is relevant for you whether you're having a really hard time in intimate relationships or you have an exquisite, beautiful, divine union, beloved relationship. Because, and I could go on because the point is that we're talking about consciousness and there's an identity and reinvention and soul purpose. And so at every level that you get to, you're going to have the opportunity to break through and rise and ascend to the next level always being one in which there's more joy, more peace, more prosperity, more blessings, more grace, more ease, more love, more intimacy, more pleasure. Yes. And sometimes in order to get to that, there is an obstacle or a challenge that confronts you. Okay. Because it's going into the darkness that has us come back to the light. It's the fall. We have to go through the fall to rise. And so it's okay if you feel like you've been in a fall or a darkness type of moment, whether that moment's this week or this year or a couple of years, or it's been, you feel like you've just been ebbing and flowing. I'm telling you that those are the things that you extend outside of yourself, meaning all of your challenges, all of your obstacles are your creation. But they are there so that you can see what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're doing, what you're believing outside of yourself, right? All of these situations are things that you're projecting outside of yourself so you can see it and experience it, feel how not great it feels, so you can do something about it, so that you can come back into alignment. Okay. For everyone on Zoom, please come on video so that we can be together. Thank you for everyone who is on video. Hi, Patricia. Hi, Michael. Nice to see you. Christina, John, Zoe, Love Day. Hi, babe. Yeah, anyone, all of you who are off video, I'd love if you could come on. Allison, Martine, Zoe. It's really great to be here with you. And this is the blessing of Zoom and being able to be a global community. And the thing is that you think that you can hide in the world, and you're not here to hide. You're here to shine. You're here to be seen. You're here to show the world, to become the living proof for when you come into alignment with your divine self, just how good it can be. Okay, so we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about soul purpose. We're going to talk about becoming the living proof. And this conversation is so important for every single human. And the thing is that the idea and conversation about purpose can cause a lot of suffering, especially when you don't feel like you know what your purpose is. And it's such a beautiful inquiry to care about purpose, to want to be satisfied and fulfilled in your life, to want to be doing something beautiful with your life, right? We are here to contribute. We are here to make a difference. And we all feel that when we're not doing that, it can feel very frustrating, and it can feel confusing, and it can make you feel lost. And there is ways and things that you're meant to create, and ways that you're meant to support the world and awaken the world, and things you're meant to steward into the world and birth into the world. There are. However, your foundational soul purpose is not a specific thing. It's a way of being. It's how you take care of yourself. It's coming into alignment with the divine. It's aligning your will with thy will. And through that process is how you actually hear and discern how you're meant to be used in this world. Okay, because there is a way that you're meant to be used. And a lot of what you think you're here to do might be aligned because you've been really in the practice of listening, and you feel like you know generally what is yours to do, and maybe you're doing it, and now it's just time for refinement or a change in how you've been structuring or how you've been bringing it forward, right? Because most of you here are ready for some change, whether it's a big pivot, it's like you're leaving corporate, you're going to start your own business, you're starting a new project. This is a time of reinvention. This is a time of becoming new. This is a time of letting go of the old ways of being, the old ways of suffering, the old ways that you've been doing your work or even fulfilling on your purpose. Some of you have had a sense of what your purpose is for a long time, but the way you've been going about it, your mindset around it, the containers and structures around it, who you serve, how you serve, that might be what needs to change. Some of you have been living completely out of purpose, out of alignment. And some of you might think there's something that's your purpose, or think you're supposed to do something, and it's a distraction, and it's distracting you from your true purpose. There's all these small things. You're like, I could do that, or that could be something I could make money from. And it's actually distracting you. It's your ego's way of keeping you small and keeping you where you're at, and having you think that you're making changes by changing things in your environment, by changing projects, switching things up a little bit. But a lot of times that's just a distraction. And when you rearrange your environment, you don't actually change on the inside. You have to actually evolve and heal here for there to be a genuinely new reflection outside of yourself, because you can change environments, like change jobs, or even change your entrepreneurial endeavor, or change relationships, or change where you live, and start to see the same exact patterns come up. Because that's behavior modification, that's just rearranging things, and not much is actually going to change. So I'm curious, for those of you that are here, comment on the streams, but for those of you in Zoom, I want to see, where do you feel like you're at right now in relationship to purpose? and change. Do you feel like you need a big pivot? Are you about to leave something and start something new? Are you in refinement mode? Do you feel like it's really time for a massive change? Do you need to reinvent? So give me a sense, where are you at in terms of living on purpose or in relationship to your purpose and feeling passionate and clear and on fire and like you have a vision that's pulling you forward and you know why you're here and what you're waking up for, and there's an aliveness in you. Okay, so that's this purpose element. Where are you, or are you just feeling like lost, confused? You don't really know what you have so many ideas, but you don't really know what your purpose is. It's a little overwhelming. So where are you at in relationship to purpose? And then adding into that, where do you feel you are in relationship to the need to change, reinvent, make? Okay, feel massive shift is needed, feeling stuck and trapped in patterns. Beautiful. It's time for reinvention. Like it's really time to do things totally newly the way that you've been doing them. It's sometimes you just gotta, with love, say it's time to be new. And there's usually something inside of yourself that's been stopping you, this fear, this insecurity from really having what you say you want, but it's possible. Wish to redefine your purpose and then take action. So yeah, so for a lot of you, it's right there, but you've been a little disconnected. So you have to actually take the time and care to redefine it, to get clear on it, to really create the space and then be willing and have the support and the accountability to take action. Because some of you know what to do and you're not doing it. And that's another sabotage pattern that has you get trapped in pattern. So it's like some of you know what you're here to do, but you're not doing it, which will make you suffer. Time for big change after becoming a mother, going through an identity shift. I'm reinventing myself and my offerings. Beautiful. And motherhood is one of those big thresholds. We have thresholds in life, and some are smaller and some are bigger. And I would argue to say that probably most of you are in a threshold moment just energetically feeling like something has to change. That's a threshold where you say, I can't do things the way I've been doing them. I have to do something new. And then there's moments like becoming a mother that is a very profound threshold, and it has you question everything and reevaluate everything. And literally the way you've been doing things will not work. You're a new person. But the thing is that whether it's motherhood, fatherhood, whether it's a big crisis, an injury, an illness, whether it's a new job, a new relationship, a divorce, even though they will change you naturally, motherhood and fatherhood being one of the bigger ones that just, it changes you whether you like it or not. But regardless of that, you still have to be consciously creating yourself, reinventing yourself, and aligning with the truth. It's a conscious process, because if you just let life shape you without any intentionality of your center and what you're choosing, you will fall into patterns. Because these big moments of life, moving, starting a new business, ending or starting a new relationship, having children, anything like that, retiring, etc., any big experience. So that can also be a big spiritual experience. That could be a psychedelic experience. Anytime you have a big experience, it can show you both your greatness and who you really are. And it can also bring up to the surface all the things that have not been dealt with yet. All your insecurities, your fears, your doubts, your worries. It brings up your patterns. Because when there's extra pressure, when there's stress, it triggers the things that are not resolved. And humanity lives in a pretty stress-inducing environment now. So there's a lot of stressors in the world. COVID time was a very stressful environment for the collective generally. The conversations that are being had about the economy and wars and things of this nature, there's a lot of things that are stressful about life now. Okay, more than perhaps in the beginning of humanity when we lived in the garden. We still live in a garden, but the stressors of life trigger our unresolved traumas. And so the thing that's interesting is that the more you say yes to creation, so the more that you expand yourself to create more, you actually create more stressors for yourself. Now, you don't want to avoid those stressors. I have some people who won't create things because they don't want to create stress for themselves. The thing is that you don't want to be afraid of saying yes to more. You want to be able to expand your capacity. That's what you want to do. You want to be able to expand your capacity. Okay. And for those of you that are streaming in, if you want to join on the Zoom, just comment and I'll share the link here. It's also, you can go to tinyurl.com/join Zoom. What is it? Join Zoom with us. Oh man, I had this great idea that I'd make this special little link to share with everyone who's not on Zoom to join, but then I didn't write it anywhere and I've lost it in my tabs. I'm just being honest. It was one of those last minute ideas. Like, I'm going to make it easier for other people. It was a great idea in theory. I think it's tinyurl.com/join Zoom with us. Just comment if you're on Facebook or Instagram. And if not today, then you can join us tomorrow. Just message me. That's probably the best, is I'm going to go live the next 3 days. So if you are on the streaming and you're not in Zoom with us and you want to be in Zoom and you want to be able to interact and engage and have me read your comments and ask me questions, then just message me and I'll make sure you have the link for the next few days for Zoom. Okay, deal? That's what we're going to do today. So Zoe, you're in a distillation phase, trying to do multiple projects is confusing. Nothing gets done. Yeah. There is a great book called The One Thing. And part of why many of you let yourself get distracted is also a sabotage pattern. And as someone you're looking at, Zoe, and whoever else identifies as this, I am a creative. I am a multidimensional woman. I have trained and studied in many, many, many modalities. I have worked in several different industries. I have co-founded businesses in different industries. I love experiencing new things. I am more of a like to have many things going on, like to try new things, rather than I have traditionally been an all in, get focused on one thing. And while there's some beauty in that, some beauty in being a generalist, some beauty in having multiple things, generally we distract ourselves. And then not one thing gets to the level where it's successful enough before it makes sense to add in other things. You don't have to do one thing forever, but you cannot I'm not going to tell you what you can't do, because anything is possible and there's no order of difficulty in miracles. If spirit is really saying, do all of these things at one time, and the resources and invitations are showing up for all of them, then you keep saying yes. But if you think that you're supposed to do all these things at one time and you are the one making it happen, it's not coming to you. You need to be willing to say this later. What makes sense for me to really focus on right now? Where is their natural energy? Because I'm seeing people are asking me for it. People are wanting this from me. I'm getting signs from the universe. It's showing up in front of me, versus I'm going out looking, trying, forcing. If there's multiple things at once showing up for you, and they really are showing up, like you're getting feedback from life about this project and this project and this project, and things are flowing, then life wants you to steward 3 things at once, let's say. But generally, that type of archetype is someone who's going to diminish their success if they're thinking that it's actually like there's some lack of commitment often there. It requires intimacy to be all in on one project. It requires a willingness to really be in devotion to something, to give of yourself to something, to really steward it, to mother it with a lot of care, rather than letting your monkey mind think, I need this and I need this, I need stimulation. Because there's so many of us are now wired to want distraction, to want stimulation, that going all in on something with all of your heart and soul can actually feel really terrifying, and you feel like bored of it, or it's not enough, or it's not fulfilling. But you actually, so much of purpose is about bringing yourself to what you're creating, because you can take anything that you're doing and make it purposeful. It's about what you bring to it. So let me get into that. There's so many elements of purpose. And so we will have this week together I'll get to share different elements of it. Okay. Purpose is something that you decide on, and therefore the outcome or the process of whatever you're working on fulfills on that intention. If your intention, as an example, is to know who you really are as a child of God or as a divine being, as a soul, then everything that you do will be in service to that remembrance. If your purpose, if your intention on something is for safety and just for money and for feeling like you are going to have what you need and to look good and to be popular or to be famous or any of these things that are just of the world, you could call that. So in A Course in Miracles, they call this the choice between holiness or wholeness. The word derives from the same thing. Holiness and wholeness is the same. Or sin. Now, sin is not as you would think about it in religion. To sin just means to be separate from, to be without. So is your purpose to basically, because you believe that you're without, you're separate from, and therefore you need to create something so that you are safe because you don't have what you need? Or is your purpose to know your oneness, your unity with the divine, to know your true power, to know your true purpose, to be a clear and perfect channel, to basically be revealing to life, to everyone around you, just how good it can be? Is your purpose to know the peace and joy of God so that you can share that peace and joy? So holiness and wholeness as one purpose versus separation. Now, you would never consciously have the thought, I'm choosing separation. Of course not. But you have to look at what's really under the surface and why are you doing the things that you're doing? And what's your leading intention? Because your ultimate purpose is to reunite with the divine inside of you. Your ultimate purpose is to become the living proof of what happens when you unite your will with thy will. Or you could say when you live from your soul rather than from your ego, or you live from your heart rather than from fear. It's all saying the same thing depending on vocabulary. And because I know we're not in an intimate container, I don't want to take the time to define what I mean by Holy Spirit or by God or by soul. But just know that I'm coming from a non-religious background. So if I talk about God, it's not a Christian God. My God is a benevolent God who wants the best for each and every one of you, who wants to give us everything. And we are the ones that are blocking the gifts. And our work, our purpose is to remove the barriers to love, is remove the barriers from us receiving everything that is our divine birthright. Okay. And our trauma that happened in childhood, everyone had traumas. Trauma is not just the big, some of you don't feel like you had trauma, which is great, meaning you didn't have really intense experiences like emotional abuse or sexual abuse, or your parents didn't divorce, or when, some of you didn't have really seemingly traumatic experiences. And that's a blessing. That means your soul, our souls chose our parents to give us the information that we need in this life that we came to work out. But even if you seem to have a really good childhood, our little self internalizes all kinds of things and makes it mean something that has us play out these patterns in our life. Okay. And so if you didn't get the love that you wanted, or you didn't get the love in the way you wanted, or you got rejected once that really hurt, and so it's so powerful to track the patterns that we've been playing out, to get really honest with ourselves, to really observe what have been the patterns. I just did a whole segment on how to overcome patterns, identify them, and resolve them with the people in my group coaching program. That's been what our last couple of weeks have been. And it's really profound for people to actually, because most of you see it on a surface level. You see the results, you see the pattern as the results in your life, but you have to start to identify what's the pattern from the seed, what's the cause of it. And then also identifying the sequence of things that arise when you think that thought or have that emotion or go into that state, what then follows, because you'll be able to catch it by the results. And that's the beautiful thing. Everything that we experience in our life is showing us ourselves, so that we can see where we need to do some healing. And so your purpose is to do that healing. Your purpose is to resolve all of the made up stories and beliefs that you put on yourself and on the world based on the information, the patterning, the traumas that you had as a child. Your purpose is to let go of all of that, to heal that, to stop playing that out. We are basically creating an illusion of reality that we believe is real. You can call them hallucinations, your imaginings, because we've all had the experience of having a perception of something, seeing it one way, and then cultivating or being able to zoom out and see a different perception of the same exact experience, and it become two completely different realities. Often one based in worst case scenario, something's wrong, I don't have enough, this isn't working, I'm not enough, this is some perception of that, this person's wrong, this, that. Or the same exact situation and you see it from love and wholeness and you see best case scenario. That's your imagining. You can either have hallucinations that are based in suffering and of lack and in fear. But the thing about a hallucination, about a delusion, is that you made it and you can stop believing it. And therein lies your power. And so all things that have you suffer in your life are your delusions, hallucinations. They're not real. And you know that. I hope you know that, or I hope you can see that in this moment, because you've probably been so wrapped up in some situation before, and then all of a sudden put yourself into a different state of mind, a different state of heart, elevated your frequency. You know, maybe you got around people you really love. Maybe you went to a retreat or something like that, or you got a coach and it's like the problem was no longer a problem. The problem just resolved itself. It disappeared. Or no longer felt hard, something that felt like a problem. All of a sudden you just handled and dealt with it and it was done. Right? Has everyone had an experience like that? Do you have some evidence to show that your suffering is of your own projection? Yes. Yeah, most of us know this. And we forget. And also we don't necessarily have the tools. It's like there's a recognition. You've been in this conversation on consciousness and spiritual development perhaps enough to have some recognition of this. But what I want to bring you is the actual tools to uproot and resolve those deep patterns, to become truly conscious and to start intentionally designing your identity. Start intentionally bringing your purpose forward. Everyone take a breath. Just take a few deep breaths and really just close your eyes and land here for a moment. And feel if you have the desire, the longing to really know the divine. Again, this is your purpose. There's nothing more important than establishing that connection with the divine, with your divine self, with your higher self. All of the solutions to all of your problems, all the answers to all of your questions, all your wonderings about what you're here to do and how, all of the abundance, all of it is available to you when you have established that connection and you stop breaking it. But you have to really want it. This is the foundation of your purpose, is to want nothing more than that. To stop wanting what you think the world will provide you and getting distracted by it, and start wanting to know yourself, to know your divine self, to know yourself as love and only love, to see and be only love. And by the way, and we'll talk more about this in another call this week, you cannot do that without seeing your brothers and your sisters, all humans, no matter how they're acting or how they're being, to see them as divine, to see the light in them, to see their holiness, their wholeness, to stop judging all the people around you. Every time you judge somebody, and I'm still working on it myself, but every time we judge somebody and we think something bad about somebody, it's clear that we are choosing hell rather than heaven. We're choosing separation rather than wholeness. And it will show you what you really want. You can see what you really want based on what you have. You might be saying, I want something else, but you'll know what you want, like on a core level, what you're choosing between based on what you actually have. And so if you don't really like what's happening in your environment, you don't feel like you're really living the life that you really want, it just shows you that you have a fundamentally deep spiritual work to do. Yes, you might need a new business strategy. There's probably new habits that you need. Maybe you need to learn how to, there might be things you need to learn or something that you need to become more of an expert in your area of contribution. But aside of all of that, aside of the strategies, we can't talk about purpose in terms of what you're here to contribute to the world without talking about your purpose of knowing who you are. And every day standing more in that truth and in that peace, standing properly aligned. And the beautiful thing, besides any specific thing you're here to contribute, is that, again, on a simple level, your purpose is to then stand in that I am presence and shine so bright and receive all of the gifts that the divine wants to give you and be a yes to that and enjoy them so that you can then share them. You're here to share those gifts. The more joyful you become, the more joy you give. And the more joy you give, the more joyful you become. This is part of what I'm saying about when you judge your brother or your sister in front of you, because you cannot actually know the gifts of the divine unless you give them away. You only can ever have what you give. So if you're still feeling like you got to hold on and there's not enough, and it just shows you that you believe in separation, you believe in lack. And this is the journey. We fall into that forgetfulness so we can feel how uncomfortable it feels to say enough. I'm choosing, and I'm choosing every day, and I'm aligning with my intention, with my daily purpose. My daily purpose every day, I connect in with my higher self. Because the world will pull you out so easily. And it doesn't matter how busy you are. It doesn't matter if you have children running around. It doesn't matter. You can connect and reconnect as many times in the day as you remember to. And the more often you remember to, and the more moments that you remember to give gratitude and to give back to the divine who gives you everything, you will be more and more aligned and powerful. I live into the question, what would you have me do? Where would you have me go? What would you have me say, and to whom? But I don't get distressed when I don't feel like I hear an answer, because my intention is to fulfill my purpose in every moment, no matter what I'm doing. That is with everyone that shows up in front of me. But also my purpose, right? Again, it's to heal yourself. So everything is your information. Everything is your information. And so anytime I want it to be like, I don't like what that person's doing, or I don't know that, they're showing me something. I'll give you an example. I have been dating somebody who I recently discovered is COVID vaccinated and takes several pharmaceuticals, is dependent on several pharmaceuticals. And I am not vaccinated and will never be COVID vaccinated. And I'm not here to have a big conversation about that, but my perception of it is just a very different level of consciousness, someone that would choose to do that and someone that would not. And the pharmaceuticals like I'm a no to dependency on pharmaceuticals. I've always have been. And again, that would be a bigger conversation, but part of it is like, if I acknowledge that I'm a divine being, then I don't think that I'm a vulnerable body who needs pharmaceuticals to be well. I know that to be well and to be happy and to be joyful and to be powerful, that's doing my mental and emotional work. And my divine work, that's my divine identity, will keep me safe and protected, not a vaccine will keep me protected. Okay, so I was kind of in this judgment and deciding like, I'm going to choose to keep loving this person anyways, but was definitely aware of my judgment. And I noticed the impact it had on me in my relationship to him. So I was like, all right, there's something here for me because I'm triggered by this. I wasn't triggered in like, I'm going to like be an asshole to you now kind of trigger, but like, I'm like, there's something, my perception of what I think about pharmaceuticals and the COVID vaccination is now changing the way that I'm in relationship inside of myself to this person. So I was like, okay, what is he showing me? I don't take pharmaceuticals and I didn't get vaccinated. So it's not obvious, right? A lot of times our information isn't so specific and obvious, but you have to look. So, you know what I had to look at? Again, this is my purpose. My purpose is to take all of the information from my environment, from my outcomes, my results, the people in front of me, so I can learn about myself and I can heal and resolve anywhere that I'm still holding I'm not versus I am. I'm not enough. I'm not God. I am separated. I am alone. I don't have enough. All of that I'm not. I am weak. I'm vulnerable. I'm a body versus I'm an eternal spirit. Any of that I'm not. That's the work I'm doing. That is my daily purpose. And to then give and be a source of love and joy. So anyway, so with that, what I got to see is that I couldn't see it at first. I'm like, is it just showing me that this isn't a fit, right? About them. It's like, it's about them. But what I saw was my own dependencies on what I think makes me healthy. Now, this is the crazy part, and crazy is not the right word, but the part that you often won't do the actual work to see. And I needed my coach to help me see this. That's why we all need someone in our life. We need community in our life to help us see. I saw that all of my choices for fitness and how I eat, and I'm very healthy. Like I have a cup of raw milk right here from a local farm. And if you're vegan, you don't think this is healthy, but it's, you know, I don't drink milk. I go to a local farm that I'm a membership of where it's fresh and milk that day from cows that are loved and petted and bellies rubbed, and it's raw. And I have to be a member to get it because otherwise it's illegal. You know, like that's like how I think about food. It's like on another level. I want the best, closest to nature. And what I saw was that I have a dependency, the same as him with pharmaceuticals, on these healthy choices in order for me to think that I'm going to be safe and healthy. Now, it's not saying now to let all those good things go, but I just saw that it's the same exact fear. I think if I don't eat healthy, if I don't work out, I'm not going to have energy. I'm not going to fulfill my purpose. Maybe I'll die young. And I saw all of those still playing out, which means I don't really know who I am. I don't really have faith in the strength and fortitude of my I amness and like my connection to the divine. It's still, even though they're healthy choices, there's still an element of them being made out of fear. The same reason why he would go to the doctor and get some meds. Do I see it? Do you know what I'm speaking to? Can you see? I know it's like a little bit of a radical mind fuck, but this is the way you want to start looking, because now, until I actually let go of my belief in sickness and belief that I won't be healthy unless I do X, Y, and Z, different than I know who I am and like I'm being guided to do certain things and I enjoy them and I am choosing out of love. And yeah, like releasing all attachments. Valerie, it's really powerful because my practice has been letting go of all dependencies. Letting go of all attachments of things that make me think I'm going to feel safe or think I'm going to have what I need. Yeah. So there's a lot more I could say about this. And I actually honestly didn't plan to go into that part of the observation around the environment information, because it's a pretty deep conversation and something that I bring in with my clients and my groups, because for most of you, it's a really new concept and it takes some time to really understand what I'm saying. And even if it's not a new concept, like some of you have worked with me, I've been in this work, and even with him, like I couldn't see the pattern at first. I knew that there was something it was showing me, but I thought what it was showing me was more around some belief I had around the type of men I might attract. And there might be something there, but more directly was like, I'm having judgment over this thing he's doing, and I'm doing it too in my own way. So what you I just echoed or not. Can you guys hear that? I'm hearing my voice come back to me. Is it echoing for you guys? It stopped. Whoa, that was so powerful, because that's the whole point, is life is mirroring us to us. We're projecting our insides outside so we can see it and experience it and feel it and take responsibility for it, heal it, and then rise. So it's perfectly designed. I mean, even that moment, I have no idea how I just echoed right as I was talking about that. Because life is cool and the game is fun when you learn how to play, because it is a game and it's not always easy, but it definitely becomes more fun. It's a process of liberation, and that process is really beautiful. And so we're going to be going live these next 4 days. So today's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Oh, yeah, Valerie, I love that you're here. You're feeling it. Yes, she's like reacting to the fact that I got the reflection back in my mirroring, literally from technology, just to remind me that I'm on. And so we're going to be live at the same time these next few days. In a moment, for any of you that are present right now, even if you're on Instagram or Facebook, but for sure those on Zoom, because if you aren't on Zoom, message me and I'll send you the link so you can be with us on Zoom. If you have any questions or there's anything in particular that's brought up today, in a moment, I'm going to give you space to bring that forward. But I also know I brought a lot, and in anything I share, we could have gone a lot deeper. So we'll unpack this more this week. And I also want to take a moment to bring an invitation forward to each of you, that if you are really in a moment of your life where you want to consciously redesign your life, you're in a pivot, you're in change, there's transition happening, and you want to reinvent yourself and you want to really come into alignment with your purpose, I would love to work with you. Now, we talked about purpose from a spiritual level, and today there's many elements of it. And so I just want to talk about that first and foremost, since that's what we talked about today when we work together. Our work, a core foundational piece of our work, whether that's in an immersion, in one-to-one, if you come on retreat with me, is about establishing a deeper connection to the divine and to your higher self. And that is a process that you must be with every day. And I will give you the tools, the philosophy, the practices that will have you do that, so that you have your own internal guidance system guiding you. This is what we all are craving, and what we all want, is to feel like there is an internal guidance system directing us and bringing to us that which we desire. So we don't feel like we're just forcing things uphill or throwing things at the wall, wasting time, wasting energy, right? This is so important to really prioritize this first and foremost. Your spiritual life, spirit, should be the first and last thing that you think about every day, not the second or the last thing after everything else. It should be what you wake up with, what you go to bed with. It should be the core of your intention with everything that you do, and every person and every relationship that you have. Because when you decide to have holy relationships, meaning that there's a clear purpose in your relationship, then they are blessed. But if you're just trying to get your needs met, or you're trying to just have good sexy time, you're going to constantly be unfulfilled and unsatisfied. But when you place your relationships into the hands of the divine and say, let this be a path for me to know myself and to learn myself and to heal, and for me to be a clear mirror and space for that other person to also do that, and we're holding our self-realization as the primary purpose of our relationship, your relationship will transcend. Self-realization is the purpose. Yeah, lack of spirituality is causing most of the bad stuff in the world today, because you could also say it's belief in separation. It's separation that causes all of our problems, personally and collectively. So that you could say that's a lack of spirituality or a lack of love. You could call spirituality love. The greatest expression of spirituality is to love and be loved truly. But most of you really need to cultivate your love with yourself and with the people around you. You might even act like you're very loving with the people around you, but you're still having judgments and being an asshole inside of yourself. It's not, your thoughts are not private. So a lot of you learned how to be kind and loving, and then you think you're loving, but you're really resentful, or you're really judging, or you're really actually disconnected, or you're really not listening, or because intimacy is something that most of us need to practice, like true intimacy, which is letting go of attachments. It's letting go of the need for that person to be anything. It's letting go of judgments. It's the practice of being and seeing only love. It's profoundly transformative. And then the aspect of purpose that many of you are in a question of, well, how do I want to serve next? What do I want to create? How do I want to create? How do I want to make a change? Some of you are going to leave corporate and start something new. Some of you have been in business and it's just about, there's something new, more refined, more aligned, something bigger, something more true. And so our work together is about letting that be revealed, so that you can wake up every day inspired, passionate, on fire. You have direction. If you don't give your mind direction, your mind will fuck you up. Say it how it is. You need direction. You need clear purpose and intention. Otherwise, there's a lot of space for your insecurities to come up. If you don't have something that you're directionally being pulled towards, you also waste a lot of time and energy. And I don't want you to get a year from now feeling like you wasted any time, because it is the worst feeling. Can you all relate? Do you hate the feeling like you've been wasting time? Can you put in the chat if that's you? That's something that, it's like one of my deepest fears is to die feeling like I didn't give it my all, to die feeling like there was a lot more left inside of me that I was too afraid or had too many excuses to not bring forward, played too small, didn't ask for the big, didn't ask for support, didn't ask for investors, didn't like put myself out there, didn't, like that is my deepest fear. Yes. Anyone else feel, or just in a week, if you just look back, you're like, what did I do this week? Did I move anything forward? I hate that feeling. Unless I'm intentionally and joyfully in a rest time, and I'm actually actively with intention and purpose being in a surrendered space of just filling myself up and being social. But that's very different than not really doing much and kind of feeling bad about it, like you should be doing more. Then no, there's no winning there. You both didn't forward things, and you also didn't deeply rest and connect and listen. Anyone been in those places where it's like you have the time to be listening, to be connecting, to be nourishing, and yet you're spending a lot of that time like feeling like something's wrong, or you should be doing something else, or you're not doing enough, or you don't, and you're kind of like, and time just goes and you feel like you didn't really make the most of it. Yeah, Christina says yes. Anyone else? So you also have to know what phase of life you're in, because there's phases when I look back where I wish I had actually truly taken the sabbatical that I could have, but instead I spent so much effort trying to figure out. And there's also times where I wish that I would have just gone more all in and brought more of a vigor and a clarity and a passion and a willingness to choose one thing and go for it. Right. And there's other cycles that look different than that. But so when we work together, it's both the spiritual piece, connecting to your soul, knowing what is yours to do. And then I support you to really bring that forward in the world and cultivate and create your next chapter of life, both inside, most importantly, in your personal leadership, in your mind and your heart, and then also in how you contribute to the world and how you show up in the world. And I'm going to bring and again, stay on, because if you have any questions, just generally about the conversation we had today, or want to share anything, then I'm going to be here to do that. So I'm just going to give me a couple more minutes to share with you an invitation and just let you know what's coming up. So I have a group retreat in September in Lake Tahoe in California. And this is all about crossing a threshold from one version of yourself to the next, reinventing yourself and getting clear on what to bring forward into the world in the next phase of life as a group, in ceremony, in celebration, as a community, in beautiful mountains with hot springs. And that's in September. I also do this work in one-to-one immersions. So that can be virtually or it can be in person, where I curate a ceremony and a little mini retreat. And some people call them VIP days, just for you, based on where you're at and what you're needing. But generally just in this topic, and I've done retreats and immersions on all kinds of topics, depending on where you're at and what you're needing. But let's just talk at this. I feel like this is big for everybody, is like that work is about you tapping into your soul deeply so you can stop questioning and really just move. You can create direction in your life and move forward powerfully, not from an arbitrary ego idea of a goal, but from a deep connection. And there's nothing more powerful than creating the time and space and being held in a container to really listen, to really hear, to really let that be revealed. Because honestly, if you're just in your day-to-day life trying to think and figure things out, it is pretty futile. In order to know what is yours to do, you have to actually create the time to really listen and hear. And it's my gift, my artistry, to support you in creating that container so you can make decisions in your life, so you can get out of undecisiveness, so you can figure out and assess where you've been wasting time and energy. You can see and track the patterns of where you go that take you out of your power and out of your joy and out of your energy. And you can interrupt those patterns, resolve some of them, become more conscious of others, and really bring yourself forward powerfully into a new chapter and a new phase of life. Okay, because it's time. We're at the half. Guys, we're at the half year point. Can you believe it? Of 2023. It's summer solstice, which means it's this new energy for creation. And we're in Cancer season, which is all about long-term. How are you taking care of yourself and building a legacy for yourself that's long-term, right? This is the time to start to think like, what am I choosing today that's going to make a big difference in my life moving forward forever? Because the decisions that you make right now, there's something very powerful happening right now. The decisions that you make right now, the ways that you take a leap, the ways that you move forward are so, so important for your future. And you could say that's always the case, but can you feel it? Can you feel there is something energetic right now that's saying it's time to do something different. I have to make a change. Like otherwise, or else what? I'm in the same phase because again, there's always a next level. 100%. Yes. Way to claim it, babe. So if you're in Zoom, I just put a link for a call with me so we can talk about personal retreat, the group retreat, or working one-to-one. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, just comment or message me and I will share that with you. And I would encourage you not to hesitate because it is so hard to do this life alone. It is. So let this be an inspiration. I hope that if you feel touched, you feel moved, that you will work with me. But that specific invitation aside, if you do not have high level one-to-one support and ceremonial space that's just for you, you must create that for yourself. We all need teachers. We all need mentors. We need people that help us get out of the way we've been doing things, out of our small self, out of our limited stories, and help us remember the truth and align with the divinity and with the power and the possibility that is here for you, with the abundance that is here for you, with the love that is here for you, to get out of your own way. And that usually takes something that feels risky, whether from a money level or a time level or both. But those risks, when they're coming from your heart, right? When you really feel like, yes, I'm ready to invest in myself for this next phase. And you've probably invested in yourself in the past. If you haven't, it's definitely your time. Like it's time to work some things out and heal and grow. But if you're like me, I've invested in things constantly for over a decade, but I'm never going to stop. Because I am constantly growing and constantly evolving, and life is constantly giving me opportunities to lead better. You don't say, let me go get inspired and then I'll start alone, because things are going to come up. It's time to hire a team. There's going to be things that come up. You start a new relationship. There's going to be things that come up. As your child is a different age, there's going to be different ways that you need to structure your life and how you use your time and your attention and how you structure your offerings if you're an entrepreneur. to be able to be the mother or the father that you want to be and also have success in the world. Like that's going to have to be in constant refinement. That's why we should always have ongoing support. And retreats, whether personally or in the group, are an amazing way to step up into a new embodiment. To walk, really, I call it crossing the threshold, to walk from the chapter you're in, one version of yourself, into the next. And on this particular retreat, the group retreat, it's really going to be about creating a clear plan. Not all my retreats are that, but I just feel like it's time, it's needed, that we need a vision that moves us forward every day, that wakes us up out of bed and has us want to do the things that have traditionally been hard to do, because it's non-negotiable, because we're like, this is like, I cannot help but want to contribute and share this with the world and do it in a way that I don't sacrifice my well-being or my family, and have more fun doing it. So a big part of our work is resolving the patterns that have caused you to sabotage, cause things to be harder than they need to be, have you feel like you're not connected to your internal guidance system. Right? So that's all I'll say about that for now. If you feel curious, you feel called, then either just directly schedule a call with me, or email me, or message me if you're on social media, and let me know that you want to talk about a personal immersion. I love you, Christina. It's been so good to be with you. I hope I'll see you tomorrow. It's been so good to have you here. And just message me, book a call. This week, I'm offering some specials. I'm not going to, just because we're at our hour and I want to give the chance for anyone to ask questions, I will share more about what those specials are tomorrow, but just know that I have a very special deal for the first 2 people who book a personal immersion. And so you'll have to schedule a call with me to see what those are, but it's only the first 2 people. And it's a really, really special summer special. And it's part of why I got inspired to come on and share and give these sessions free as a way to connect with you, build trust, and invite you so I can keep blessing your life, because I can only give you so much in this public transmission space. I want to work directly with you and actually support you and like pull you up out of your shit and into your next level. I want to like so with that all being said, we'll meet again same time tomorrow. And if any of you here would like to share something or ask me a question about the content or about the retreats or about working together or anything, this is your space. I'm here for you if you need coaching on something. Anyone want to take this opportunity? You can offer reflections, like go ahead and share, everyone in the chat. What's your biggest takeaway from this? What's your biggest takeaway? And also, is there a question you're left with? Go just reflect, take a moment to reflect. It helps you integrate. So you're not just on to the next thing. Like, what are you taking away? The holiness of all our relationships. I love that you're taking that away. And to choose for them to be holy. They really are your path to growth. In A Course in Miracles, it says, my brother is my salvation. It means that I cannot actually do my healing work without relationship. It's why the mentor and student, coach, client relationship is so sacred. It's why our colleague, it's why every relationship, because our relationships are what bring us home and teach us. And we usually don't learn the right lessons from them. And we usually are unconsciously putting them in, we're trying to get needs met from them, right? And that's not a holy relationship. There are mirrors. How would you reconnect, connecting to self? How would you, the practices? So it's a beautiful question, Martin, and I'll give you some brief overview, but when we work together, I will actually teach you the practices, because there are many really deep practices that I'm not going to be able to share this week, alchemical practices for connecting to self, for really turning on your internal guidance system, for establishing that connection with your higher self. And the most beautiful thing is that the more that I do this, the clearer the practices, because I've learned practices for over a decade and I've been refining, because there's nothing more important than this connection. And so when you work with me, I will share them and share practices for raising your frequency so that you can actually match to a different reality, because your different levels of reality actually have a different vibrational frequency. And to do that, you have to have the practices that actually raise your frequency. But just briefly, one thing is every day ground and center and intentionally connect to yourself and your center, and also to your higher self. Like, yes, there's practices for that, but just start to have that intention every single day, multiple times a day. Reground and recenter, and who am I at? Like, say who I am, and connect into who you really are. And if you don't know that, this is the journey of, we could work together and we can reveal that. But wherever you're at in your level of consciousness and your spiritual development, really reinforce that spiritual knowing and connection every day, multiple times throughout the day. You cannot be happy in this life without some type of meditation practice. There's many different ways to meditate, but you need to be able to entrain your mind to start to think new thoughts, and you need to be able to get spacious and clear so that you can receive guidance. You cannot be guided unless you're listening. Okay. So that's what I'll say for now. The reminder that what is showing up is pointing out what needs to be shifted. So much is coming up right now. Beautiful. Because you know why, Love Day? You have a bunch of big visions and prayers. And so all the stuff that's in the way is going to show up so you can actually deal with it. And when we have a big vision, the stuff that's in the way is going to come up for us to work it out and resolve it. If you want to live a small life, not in relationships, you can get away without a lot of things happening in your life, but you're not going to be fulfilled or satisfied. And for everybody, again, to the holiness of relationships, if you think that relationships are a distraction, or you think that your healing is meant to go, you're meant to do it by yourself, yes, there's things you need to do on your own and alone time you need to have, but you need to have an intimate relationship with a teacher or a guide regularly. And you need to have intimate relationships in your life, because without that, you can't actually do your work. It's non-negotiable. That is one of the most important practices, is being intimate, is being in relationship. And by intimate, I don't mean like just sexual intimacy. I mean intimacy in relationships, heart to heart, soul to soul, making those relationships holy, giving to those relationships, being generous, being a blessing, looking to give more than you receive, and recognizing that you are receiving by just what they're showing you. And if you have judgments, if you have triggers, it's not about them. It is showing you what you're doing, what you're saying, what you're thinking, what you've done, what your fear is. Okay. What else do we have here? How would you recommend reconnecting to self and our purpose? Okay, you asked that twice. Yeah. Reinforcing that spirituality should be a larger part of life. It is the main priority. But the beautiful thing is that doesn't mean go out and be on a mountaintop alone. True spirituality wants you to be in relationship to other people, wants you. Remember what I said? This is about becoming the living proof of what happens when you align yourself with your divine self and the grace that comes into you. And when that happens, you become such a blessing to the world. And you stand in all of your glory and all your lightness and show the world, look how good it can be, not from righteousness or from ego, but from this place where you're literally blessing everybody around you. Everybody that comes around you becomes blessed when you center your spirituality. And then guess what happens? Invitations, opportunities, love, more money, whatever the things you think you want, they are an easier outcome of that center bit. And of course, there's people who have, let's say, lots of money and traditional success without this. You're like, well, how do they create lots of money? But are they happy? I don't know a single truly happy person that isn't a deeply spiritual person. And I know lots of deeply spiritual people who are very wealthy, who have extraordinary families, who have all the beautiful homes or all the things you think that you want, the health, the vitality. In fact, the only people I know that actually have it all are centered in love. I have never seen it without that. You can have one thing, but you're usually going to be sacrificing something else, right? We see a lot of that. Yeah, and then remembering that we get lessons from others. Yeah, beautiful. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your takeaways. Would anyone like to come on and ask me anything or share anything? I'm here to answer any questions. If something's up, this brought up something and you want to reflect on it, I'm here to just take a few more moments if you'd like. And if you're streaming on Facebook, I'm not going to see you in this moment, but send me a message or comment where you're watching or on YouTube, and then I'll share with you the Zoom link so you can be with us in Zoom for the rest of the week. Okay. Anyone? Any closing, anything? Questions? Okay. Another little tip, if you want to receive blessings in life, be willing to say yes and receive them when they're offered. You know, the ways that you hide, the ways that you don't want to be seen, and it's okay. I'm very happy to end this right now and I can go have lunch. You want the link? Okay, great. I'll send it to you so you can join us in the Zoom tomorrow. So, life is a gift. Oh, thanks, Michael. So we can be a gift to others. I love that, Rice. But it's just so interesting. I offered to basically coach you, to answer your questions, and nobody put their hand up. And what I have learned is that you only receive what you give, and you only receive if you're actually willing to receive, and you really put yourself out there, and you're willing to actually ask, and you're willing to be brave, and you're willing to get out of your comfort zone, which is to hide and be quiet behind a scene. So just notice, I'm going to end this, but just notice, to work with me one-on-one is quite an investment. And I just basically gave you all free opportunity to use me right here. And you all said, I'm just scared. I don't know what to ask, even though you probably have a million questions that you're in right now. If you're a human, if you're a leader and you're leading yourself powerfully, there's constant feedback and constant opportunities for growth and constant things to navigate, and like infinite decisions you have to always be making, right? And that's the power of having coaching, is to help you move through those and make those align. But we will wrap this for now. I love you all. I will see you tomorrow at the same time. So that's 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time. What time is that in the UK, Love Day? Where are we now? Is that 5 hours ahead of Eastern time? What time is it right now? Put it in the chat. Anyone else from Europe in here? Okay, so we started at 7 UK time. 7 UK time, so 8 Central East European. Anyways, y'all work it out. Y'all work it out and come and be here every day if you can this week. I'm going to keep going deeper in this conversation and bring other elements around purpose into it. And again, if you feel resonant and you want support, starts at 7. Thanks for confirming, Martin. If you want support and you really want to connect to your purpose, if you have the question, how do I connect to my purpose? To work with me. I mean, that is one way, is to work with me, to work with someone who's going to help you see yourself and help you really connect. Because you're not going to figure out your purpose in these live streams. You're going to have an understanding and a beautiful opening of philosophy, and see where you've been sabotaging yourself perhaps, or see where you've been making things complicated, to see where you need to go, see where you've not been focusing and prioritizing your time and attention correctly. Like, you're going to have a lot of revelation through being here in these live streams. So come, right? New information, new wisdom has you ask new questions. And it's very powerful. We all need to be learning all the time. I'm learning every day. I'm a learner, and you should be too. Be constantly growing yourself, your mind. And if you want to do the deeper work, that happens in one-to-one. That happens in retreat. So Martin, I'll be looking out for you to schedule a call, because you're asking questions. That's like, those types of answers are going to be a journey of awakening that you get taken on. Okay. All right, my loves, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your day. Happy summer for most of us. Summer solstice was last week, and there's good new energy in the air. So may you ride it. And Cancer time again, Cancer season is about making sure that we have everything we need to have to really be like stable and grounded and centered in our nervous system, and making decisions that have us go towards a long-term vision, legacy for our families, right? All right. See you tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Bye, bye, bye.